Venice is a consistent dream, and never more so than now, when the pandemic has warned off the flow of visitors across the lagoon. Pierpaolo Piccioli took the opportunity of turning his Valentino Couture show into a celebration of artists who are today's creative souls in the city. The 17 exceptional artists inspired the designer who has a special skill in turning fashion into fine art. I am Suzy Menkes, and Pierpaolo showed me examples of art that inspired his Valentino collection. So Pierpaolo, it's very exciting for me to have this view, have a glimpse of what you're actually going to show in Venice. And I'm already looking at the most beautiful colours, the most beautiful patterns, and I want you to tell me more.
Thank you, Suzy. I'm very happy to welcome you here and to share my path in order to arrive to Venice and the vision of this moment.
And there's so many beautiful pieces in front of me. I can see so many colours, that's one of the things.
Yeah.
And a general feeling also of uplifting, of happiness after all these sad, long months.
Yeah, I wanted to create this community of artists linked by creativity. I just wanted to create this kind of discussion about this moment seen from different perspectives. And having a conversation with them. Of course, each of them is different.
So that I understand, you had these contact with the artists, but it wasn't necessarily that they were going to make clothes or you were going to make clothes for them, more a relationship.
Yeah, it was more like a relationship. And then I decided to translate, most of them are painters, to translate their bidimensional works into something that has to be related with the body, as fashion has to be. I wanted to make the art part of the process, the creative process of fashion.
What do you feel you've learned about your work or your vision from doing this? What's added?
It was a challenge, but it was also a simulation, because I didn't want to talk about the storytelling of this collection. If you see my mood boards, in the mood board there is the process of doing, because I think that it's like a celebration of the makers. We had, say, Patricia Tribe. I felt that there was something kind of naive and spontaneous, and I wanted to do that with a kind of simple dress. It's like one simple shape and the cut.
Oh, beautiful. It's amazing. Who is this one by?
Malte, yeah. He's a guy from Berlin, a most punk guy. And his works are huge. That's why I wanted to work on the huge surfaces, and also having different works together.
So in the end, it's not so complicated. It's a kind of jacket with the pockets, and it's got the underside, but it isn't something impossible that can't be worn at all.
No, of course not, because I wanted to keep the language of fashion, because my language is fashion. They express themselves through paintings, but it's about languages.
Which ones of all these artists you work with, because it's a lot, which ones do you feel you had a special relationship with, or which ones were really inspired by your side?
I think that Alessandro Teoldi is an Italian guy that works in Paris. I think his works have a lot to do with the moment we're living. That's why I decided to translate his job into two different pieces. One, this is a red big dress. It's very
with all sorts of different pieces here.
Different pieces,
yes.
And they all come from the reds from Valentino, from our house. And this is a coat and a shirt and a skirt that comes from three different works. And I love the idea of using even the toile of the beginning of of couture,
Pierpaolo,
including
is
that.
this about hands here, or is it my vision? As you opened it up, I thought it looked as though there were hands inside.
Hands, hugs. That's why I think there's a lot to do with this moment. Another one I really liked was Jamie Nares, and that's the opera. He's like a body artist, but he uses the brushes because his body has a lot to do with his art. And now, at the age of 60, he turned into Jamie Nares. And so, when I started to work with him here, I was thinking to translate the brushes into something more like kind of day wear. Then he was turning, and so I decided to go even with the work to do something more feminine, more kind of classical for couture, like a tight dress and cape, and that work becomes, even for him, the end of a path, both personal and professional.
I wanted to ask you about that, how the artists have found working with you. Have any of them said to you something extraordinary, something that you thought, how amazing that this artist I know so well is really not learning, but being able to work with me?
I was showing them what we could do, what we used to do, and they were showing me what they're doing in their atelier. That's why the collection is called Des Ateliers. What I learned from this moment, from this 1 year and a half, not to plan, but just to react to what happens. I learned also that beautiful things take time to be realized. So that's why that was a project I really wanted to do since so long.
Couldn't this maybe become a sort of line of words that people say in the fashion world that use more time, that beauty is in the slowness of working at things, not in the rush, rush, rush? Would that be good?
For sure, that's for sure. I think that beauty needs time, needs slowness, needs time to reflect, to do also. It takes time.
At one stage, you would show us a collection, and there'd be a little thing underneath that told you how many hours that your petite main had worked on these things. Are you still doing that?
I'm still doing that. I'm still calling naming every dress with the name of the people who do the dress. And this time, in the Haute Passage, will be added the name of the artist that is involved in the opera, but the first name in the pieces themselves, because it's really a melting moment of humans.
Well, you know, fashion does need poets, and you are a poet, and I think that what you've done here looks as though it's going to make the most wonderful collection.
Let's walk the atelier. Buongiorno. Pieces that you have construction. This is one piece. Coat. This is another piece of an artist that is like a trompe-l'œil. That's the coat. You can see the coat.
Oh my goodness, look at that work.
You see the white shirt and the white t-shirt. And
Yes.
And look at, they are like
Colours together are just wonderful.
100 different fabrics placed it together here in order to create
Really,
these
100?
shades.
Oh my
100
goodness.
different.
Yes. And how many shades of colour would you think?
150, something like that.
Wow. That is amazing.
She does these very fast, I would say, sketches, almost violent. And I want to give that back the slowness. is really because I learned a lot. I had a lot from this exchange with different people. We were sharing values. That's super important for me.
Congratulations
Thank
in
you.
advance.